Honestly, I'm kind of shocked about what I'm about to say surrounding episode 4 of Strongest Magician, because this show is, I still think, the weakest show I'm following this season, and I had every intention to not talk about it on YouTube this week. I walked in thinking, hey, this show is, there's only going to be so much I can talk about. I'll watch it over on Patreon, have a fun time, maybe once a big episode here or there pops up, maybe cover it like that. And then from top to bottom, this was actually a pretty solid episode. Easily the strongest out of the batch, both on production, but most importantly on everything you kind of want to see this episode does. Hell, remember how there's the divide in this, like, quote-unquote fandom? I don't think the show's popular enough to really say it has a fandom, but you get my point. About how our boy got done in by a singular arrow. I'm more on the side that it's kind of refreshing that your MC isn't invincible. The Demon Lord, it ain't working like that. She actually catches that bitch. Unfortunately for her, it explodes as well, so it was a double whammy. But it's the fact that as the episode goes on, the more you say, okay, it's like being written intelligently. I mean, at the end of the day, this is an isekai anime. It is listed as such. They haven't really touched upon Ike and how he clearly got killed and reincarnated. It may not even happen this season. They may take the slow burn approach, but the fact that he casually just brings up the concept of guns should confirm that for you in itself. I also just want to add, it's also clear that the Demon Lord either also was reincarnated or has met people who have been reincarnated as well, because her casually dropping the guns also says as much. But the idea that guns versus swords, I mean, this simple battle of like, okay, for a Demon Lord, how do you pick a side when both are saying the other's evil and trying to corrupt you? Well, we figure it out by force, and our boy brings out the artillery and just wipes the floor. Just, the more I watch of this episode, the more I was like, this doesn't even feel like a so bad it's good show right now. Just feels like a pretty decent watch. Now, the thing is this isn't me saying this is some magnum opus best show of the season now. I mean, it's just, if you've been having fun up to this point, this will be the episode that actually makes you raise an eyebrow and say, wait a second, a bit better than I was initially given credit for. Which, to be honest, I never expected to say, and if I did, maybe there'd be an episode near the end, like, like big final battle or something, like, okay, this actually was a little more impressive than I was first given credit. And this isn't me changing my tune. I still think this is the weakest show I'm personally watching in this season. I doubt that will change. I don't see anything I'm currently watching out of the 20 freaking shows I'm following, which is insane, that will at any point be worse than this. But at the end of the day, I gotta be honest, I don't think this show gonna be no Newgate of the season, that's for damn sure. I have full live reactions over on Patreon. If you want to see my full and good thought to any of these episodes, it's gonna be over there exclusively. So, I'm not sure if it's just me, but did those, like, the doll things that they were using for their makeshift army, they reminded me of cookies. I don't know what it was. Like, it was almost like they had, like, nougat or nut clusters on top of their body. Like, it's just like giant cookies. And the idea that we casually build guns. I mean, just, hey, the whole concept of we're gonna have an explosion in a barrel that will propel a projectile and hurt people. Wait, what? And just casually, they build freaking guns. But I think the biggest thing that caught me by surprise, I think everyone, or probably 95% of the people watching this show, were under the assumption that the Demon Lord was suspicious, if not probably knew that Ike was a human, or was hiding something. We get the confirmation she 100% does, and it turns out she's always known, which actually surprised me personally, because I figured when it was 2 episodes back, when she's like, hey, next time we interact, I want you to take the mask off. And it's like, okay, she's clearly suspicious. Boy gets out of the bath, and here she is. And he tries to initially play it off like, well, she doesn't know it's me. He has a human maid. I mean, it wouldn't be surprising if maybe he's enslaved other humans to work for him or something. And she's like, hey, no, I know who you are. Yeah, your master told me everything. And it's interesting, right? Because this is a Demon Lord that actually feels like a Demon Lord. The thing is for a long time, anime, you used to be able to say it was a subversion of expectations. Oh, when you think of Demon Lord, evil, minion, doing these ruckuses, and oh, here's a twist, they're actually nicer, or maybe they have more complexities. I think we're at the point with anime that if a Demon Lord's actually, like, vicious or feels like the devil, that's more of a twist than having a Demon Lord that's not that way anymore. Like, that's just how common it's become. So the idea that she actually feels feisty, like the fact that we have a situation with Sephiroth as well as this Dullahan character, and they're both saying other things, and she's pretty much just saying, you guys are going to have a duel. And, you know, that will decide that, because that's how demons do it. And her options for this man when it was over wasn't exile. It was either you end yourself or I'll end you. You can pick. Now, granted, the boy seemingly got the jump, but I mean, no one's actually going to think she's gone for good. Like, that would be a twist. If we walked in episode 5 or 6 and she actually was just dead, now, I'll be honest, that would be a twist, but I don't think anyone expects that. And just over the course of this episode, the more I'm like, okay, they're not playing with BS, they're actually making the Demon Lord notice the obvious, which I think if you rewind the first couple of episodes, a lot of the similar comments I've seen is like a lot of people are like, man, his identity's not actually hidden that great. It kind of feels like if you just stare at him at his face, like you'd be able to tell. And the fact that characters are actually realizing him, whether it was in episode 2, I think it was, with that one night, like she realized like probably he was human. Just everything about it is like, okay, they're actually like, could you make the argument he could hide his identity better? He could be a little more careful, of course, but the fact that the anime's not being like, well, we're just all stupid characters to make it so things keep happening well for the MC, I actually can appreciate it. The idea that he's clearly bringing in modern ideas, I mean, it's not just simply like, after he took over that village, the idea of utilizing both monsters and demons in shifts so they can continuously build and repair, so they can meet the deadline that would be impossible otherwise. Or on the tactical side of things, the idea of guns, which they're basically like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, oh wait, this is actually really interesting. Nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. I'm not gonna say it is. But there's enough in this episode that makes it feel like we actually are watching a different show at this point. Because when you look at the first few episodes compared to this, it just feels like it was a lot more cohesive. It felt like it had more structure. And, I mean, there was some 3D, but I don't think most people are going to look at this episode as ugly or anything like that. It was actually, I mean, they had a darker Coliseum for a reason to help blend in some things. It was actually a pretty freaking good episode. I don't know, like, I wasn't expecting to ever, like, really say that this... Because, for me, the first 3 episodes, dumb fun. You want to say it's a 5 out of 10, you want to say it's an average show, slightly below average... I would have really argued with people, but I actually think episode 4 is a pretty good episode. And it does things like everyone expects the Demon Lord to eventually realize, but the way she just like calls it out, and the fact that it almost feels like a call out that she can catch an arrow and our boy can't, separates Demon Lord versus General Soldier who's rising up the ranks. Pretty interesting stuff, and actually caught me by surprise. I didn't even want to make a video today on this show. I was like, no, I'm just going to watch it and move on with my day. And it was actually good enough that I said, damn it, keep reeling me back in. Let me know what you thought on this episode, though, down below, and be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we have those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout-out. Alright, so today we have Bryant, Sleepfish, Gabrielle Ray, Wayne Delquist, Reedy Reed, and Chloe NG. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. Y'all have a good one.